Hello and welcome to another episode of Video Game Logic. Today's episode was recorded on August the 2nd, 2022. I'm your host, gaming psychologist, and with me, as always, in an unprecedented event 2 weeks in a row. Or unprecedented event 2 weeks in a row. There you go. Unpresent kind of
Caffeine
words.
Rage somewhere in there.
Yep.
There's the big catastrophe. You can't talk.
I can't talk, right? Well, I mean, that's normal, though. That's normal. On today's show, we will, of course, be discussing the games that we have played at some point in the last however many weeks. Sims 4 mod makers cannot charge for mods. Google Play Store ads blocked to stop intrusive pop-ups. And then from our community, in the community corner, we've got Diablo Immortal player spends 100,000. Yes, 100,000 on game. Now can't find anyone. Huh?
You did say the currency. Dollars.
Dollars, yes. 100,000 US dollars on game. Now can't find anyone suitable to matchmake with. Call of Duty Warzone, Plagiarism, Accusations surface around new dog operator design. And it's not just loot boxes. Predatory monetization is everywhere. Timestamps will be in the show notes following their respective topics. Hello, Rage. How's it going?
It's going all right.
That's good.
I mean, can't complain too much right now.
Well, you could.
We got Tuesday. Actually, not cursed right now, so.
Yep, we made it 2 weeks in a row.
Far.
I was putting lotion on. I just dropped my wedding ring down.
Uh-oh.
Behind my desk. I'll have to get that later.
Uh-oh, right.
Yep. Oh no, I lost my ring. I'm no longer married. That's how that works, right?
I'm not even bothering with one, so. Not going to be able to fit one on my big fat sausage fingers.
That's not true. You can get one that fits.
Okay, I don't want to bother with it.
That's fair. I mean, I don't give a shit. You wear a ring or not,
Yeah.
But I've got fat ass sausage fingers, and I've got a ring that fits.
So yeah.
People have always made comments about my wedding band. That, quote unquote normal wedding bands are thin, and I've got this fat wedding band. It's really wide. I'd have to take a picture to show you, or to get a comparison photo.
Well, first you gotta get it out from behind the desk.
True, but it's wide. It's as wide as 2 or maybe even 3 quote unquote normal size wedding bands. People have made comments on it for years. I'm I don't know. I liked it. It wasn't any more expensive than a skinny one, so it's fat like me. But
yeah, but the skull on it makes you one of the baddies.
Right? Does that mean we're the baddies? Yes, it does.
Speaking of baddies, should we get into the games we played?
Yeah, I've got 2.
Yeah, we could trade off.
Okay. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Well, I'll go first, since we're talking about the baddies, and we have Ubisoft.
Right.
Need I say much more on this? Okay, well, I guess I should. So, I guess this was 2 months ago now. Yeah, something like that.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, because when Roller Champions came to Switch, I decided to try out because it was free to play. I figured, what the hell? If it's pure cancer, it can't infect the Switch that much, Right?
So you thought.
Oh, and my games this week are going to have the theme of I tried them, I wanted to like them, and I fucking hated them. And Roller Champions, for those who don't remember the, 2-minute thing that they had on E3 2 years ago, Roller Champions is a sort of a combination of roller derby and Umla/ball game, which is a Latin America, ancient ball game where the idea is 2 teams of, I think it's, it depends on the match mode, which we'll get into that, between 2 and 4 players are vying for a ball, and the goal is to shoot it through a hoop that's suspended up on the wall above one point of the ring. But it's not that simple. So in order to score points, you have to do laps around the track. And the track is, at least when I played it, all of them were very standard oval tracks. And dodge the opposing players / pass to other players, in theory. We'll get to that. And after 1 lap, you score 1 point. After 2 laps, you score 3. And after 3 laps, I think it was 7. And if you score on 3 laps, your team automatically wins. Do you see a problem with this already?
Yes.
So,
can I guess? I know we've talked about this, but it's been a minute. Can I guess what the problem is?
What?
Instead of playing the game in a normal, cohesive way to try to score more points, everyone tries to ball hog and score on lap 3 to instantly win.
Yep. You got it. You got it on the first lap.
Ah, shit. That means I don't win. Fuck.
But we'll get back to that. So, and you don't have to go around one particular way. The think of it as sort of like, well, like I said, it's a elongated oval. So, with a bank turn on each side, and there's essentially gates at the entrance and exit to each of the 180-degree turns. And as long as you go through the 4 gates, it counts as a lap. But you have to go on lap 2 and 3, you have to go around the same way. So, yeah, there is some strategy there, right?
Yeah.
But the problems really start to prop up. One, they go for a more physics-based roller skating thing, which is essentially you do like a trick, jump up on the wall and then catch air to go back down and build up speed. Well, if you get knocked down, you lose all that momentum, and there's really, it takes time to build it back up, and you'll get a up against a team that has 2 people working together, 1 ball hog and 1 essentially blocker, and they're just going around knocking down everybody, and the ball hog runs off with the ball, and you're not going to catch him. I mean, sure, you could go around the other direction, but there's a very, very, very slim window. This game feels like they didn't really think through all the game mechanics. Like, there's this almost delay whenever you're trying to do a tackle, which I'm sure if you play the game enough, you'll eventually get it. But it doesn't. It feels like there's just this random delay on some of the controls, but not the others, which makes it feel floaty. And compounding that with, do players have literally on the back of their shirt fresh meat, trying to push you towards the microtransactions for all the cosmetics.
Yeah.
While you have Ball Hog, Mr. Disco, and no, I'm not joking, the initial season for Switch was Disco, so you had a guy with a disco ball for a helmet running around Ball Hog hand, just slamming it home. It's just, it was incredibly frustrating because I didn't expect to, absolutely love the game,
Yeah.
But I thought it to be, there was a chance that there would be, something there that, get good, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that they put an instant win condition on a game that otherwise would take, I think it's like 8 or 9 minutes total game time. I mean, it just feels like they're like, okay, well, you can take, almost 10 minutes to win. And it wasn't 10 minutes for some weird reason either. It was like a really weird number. And I'm blanking on the exact time. I want to say like 7 minutes. Maybe it was, their idea, 7, first to 7 or 7 minutes, right?
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know.
I mean, I have a note on here, since, I haven't played it in a while. Much like most things Ubisoft makes, has a decent core idea, but is very poorly thought out. Right? That's kind of their MO, right?
Yeah.
Oh, and also, I played this on the launch weekend for Switch, and matchmaking took a good 3 or 4 minutes. Now, this could be the fact that, new player, and I'm not sure if there's crossplay, but yeah, I would imagine that the majority of the players would be, higher up if there is. But, that's not really conducive to things, is it?
No. I remember when this game released, or maybe it was in like one beta period or something. A couple of YouTubers and stuff that I watched said it seemed promising, but then it sounds like that they never really developed the gameplay any farther, and instead only developed the microtransaction store.
I mean, that's the thing, is that they could have done something different with the tracks. So they're on release on Switch. There were either 2 or 3 different tracks with a slight variation depending on the size of teams. And the only difference is how long the straightaways are. They are all ovals, and they don't even have like any like ramps or anything, and it just feels weird. They wanted to do this over the top gameplay, but then they made the actual gameplay rather pedestrian, with the exception of which I didn't play all 10 placement matches to unlock. There's a weekend event thing, which had a hot potato mode, so that it discouraged ball hogs, right?
Nice. That's a good mechanic.
Yeah, but that was only on the unranked event mode that only pops up on the weekends, if I recall correctly.
Ah, that sucks.
Mm-hmm. And smaller team requirement or team size, or smaller team sizes. So right.
Yeah.
Oh, and of course, there's there's a season pass that is paid for, but there's a free one that sucks because
Of course.
It's just all right.
They really want you to go for that paid one.
Mm-hmm. Especially when they put fresh meat on the back of your shirt, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's strictly cosmetic, but that's kind of that psychological warfare almost.
Fresh meat, I think, would be cute as a choice. It's like, haha. Like, honestly, like, fresh meat should be an unlockable, or, I mean, it shouldn't be purchasable. It should be in the fucking game, but in their, methodology.
It should have been like one of like a few starter shirts that you could pick one. And then as you progress and level up, you unlock the others.
Yeah.
It also had this really cringy fellow kids vibe. Like something that a 40 or 50-year-old suit, and yes, I realize that I'm getting on that age, but think that the kids are saying, so that everybody's trying to be really hip and cool while saying slang terms from like 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
If not older. It's just, right.
Yep.
And I think the biggest crime of this game is just, it gets boring because every single game I played, mind you, I did not play all 10 of my placement matches, so I did not get into the full-on rank mode. However, the placement matches, every single one of like 4 or 5 of them, boiled down to someone getting the ball hogging it, and then slamming it home for 7 points and winning the game. Every single one of the placement matches. If that's the placement matches, imagine what happens when you get higher up in ranked mode, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds terrible.
It's disappointing because there could have been a lot more there. And there's rumors of them shutting it down. And they had to actually tweet out, no, we're not shutting down. We're totally not. We're committed to, we're committed to this game. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, it does look like there is crossplay. So that might also be adding to the problem, is that, the people that have been playing this for, at the time I played it, several months, that are the diehards on Ubisoft Play Store, or whatever the hell they're calling it now, because it feels like they rebrand that every few months. They're the diehards, so whenever the Switch fresh meat comes in, right?
And they're like, oh boy, free wins.
It looks like it's on the same season that I played on uh, like 2 months ago, so that's not promising.
No. I suppose there's always the possibility that the seasons last for a while, but
Hmm.
seems more likely that they just keep it
Especially if there's a
lingering.
battle pass. That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Uh, looks like well, community details says 124 online. I'm not sure if that means the game or the forums. Right?
Either way, that seems pretty low. Although I don't know
Mhm.
forums. I don't know where forums and how well they do now in the year of our Lord 2022.
The year of Gaben.
Yes.
Okay, let's see how active the Reddit is. That'll be a um. Well, let's see. One of the first ones is honestly, I'm fed up. I understand that the game is in the early stages of development. This is from 10 hours ago. But what bothers me is the fact that I get pit in with randoms who are new to the game and other teams that are players who have 5 hours a day every day. So it sounds like I'm not the only one that had trouble with matchmaking. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and also here's the other kind of weird thing that they did that I completely forgot about and didn't make note of until I saw them talking about this. Okay, so the progression for uh, the match is based off of the fans because, of course, it's has this social media aspect that Ubisoft is only like 10 years behind the curve for trying to force in their games as their progression mechanic. If I recall correctly, the original Grid had it. Yeah, where you're some sort of streaming star, right?
I don't remember that. It probably. I just don't remember that in
Well,
Grid.
uh, or maybe it was Grid 2 that I'm thinking of. But anyway, you know what I mean. Using the idea of fans and followers and stuff. Very old hat.
Right.
Uh, so you get more experience for the more fans that the total players have, and it also dictates what stadiums are available. So let's say that of the the 8 players, because each team has 4. Everybody has sub 1,000 fans. You're gonna be on the starter stadium. But if you have a whale come in that has a bunch of fans, it boosts everybody up and gives more experience, which is an interesting concept to try to even things out. But you're still dealing with a no-lifer, right?
Yeah. It's like, oh, here's the consolation prize for dealing with someone who's definitely gonna kick your ass. At least you get a nice little XP boost out of it.
Mm-hmm. And of course, people are here defending it. Welcome to. Is this your first game or something? Welcome to PvP matchmaking on a free game.
I mean, they're not wrong, but that's not a defense.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yes, that's the problem.
Yeah, there's not much activity on the subreddit, which is not also a good sign. That's a very bad sign, huh?
Yeah.
If your subreddit is, there's been one. That's an ad. 2, 3, 4 posts today. See, that's under hot.
That's a pretty low activity subreddit. I've been in like subreddits, like for games that have more daily posts than that.
Yeah, there's 14 here right now, which with 6,321 readers, which is the subscribers. Yeah, I'm fully expecting Ubisoft to quietly kill this in a year or two.
Yeah.
And like I said, the core concept actually isn't terrible. The thing is that it's Ubisoft. Sort of like how Skull and Bones, they just announced that it's basically going to be a PvP game with nothing else now.
Yeah.
After 10 years of development, right?
Yeah. And being like, no, we're gonna have full PvE content and quests and the whole 9. Don't worry, there's gonna be something there for everyone.
And there wasn't. So Shall we move on to one of your games?
Yeah, mine is not going to take anywhere near this long. The first game that I have on my list is kind of a meh game. For me, it's called Mystic Pillars. I have this on my phone. I've had a really, busy, hectic, weird few weeks. Some of the details I've shared on Franken episodes or recordings, but also a lot of it has been stuff that I didn't want to talk about on a hot mic. Rage, you know what's up, but But that being said, like I've been
I'm
away from
Sarah.
my sometimes, but I've been away from my computer a little bit more than normal, and so I was looking at some mobile games that I do have that aren't utter gutter slime, which we'll get to in a news article later. I have some thoughts about ads, but I digress. This is one that I bought some time ago and have never really played. So Mystic Pillars is a puzzle game, and it's sort of a story, adventure, puzzle game, whatever, where that you are some kind of like magical traveling archaeologist type man who's traveling down this river basin trying to figure out why the water has stopped flowing. And you can control these like little gems that drop these magic pillars back into the ground so that the water can flow down the river basin. And along the way, you get some interesting, neat stories. The character design, the art design are really cute. It's got a nice soundtrack. There's not really, at least that I have experienced so far, not really any choices that you can make. No RPG elements. The puzzles get progressively more and more difficult as you go along. If there are new mechanics that are put out or added to the game at some point, I haven't found them. It's just the general increasing puzzle difficulty. And there is only one solution to solve every puzzle. So, they start out easier, very clearly. You have to make X number of moves to get all of the little gems in the right place on the pillars so that they all drop into the ground. And then as it gets progressively more and more difficult, you have to start thinking outside the box. Go diagonally. Where? There, diagonally. Like, you have to do some of that. You have to think about ways to double back without clicking on the same pillar more than once. Like, just some weird stuff. But I mean, if you've played a puzzle game where that it's, basically connect the dots in the right order, that's all there is to it. And it's fine for a while. I played it for maybe 2 hours. I got through the first 30 or 35 puzzles. But then it just got to the point where it was frustrating. What the game needs, it doesn't have... I don't think it has good puzzle design. If you're going to eke out a bare, simple puzzle concept like this, you have to do something interesting with it other than just make the puzzles harder as you go along. You either have to add additional elements, like maybe a way to... And I guess these would be additional gameplay mechanics. A way to move some of the little gems around without using up your moves. Like, essentially, a puzzle will be, say, you've got 10 moves, and it will tell you, you have to get 3 gems on this pillar and 4 gems on this pillar. And every time you move the gems, they all get, like, one gets left behind on every pillar. And so if a pillar has 3 gems that it needs on it, that means that you have to crisscross it 3 times, and so that 3 gems get left on it. And there needs to be... There's only so far in my mind that you can carry that concept before it gets just too difficult and boring or tedious. And for me, it got too difficult. Maybe someone who's better at puzzle games could get farther. I mean, definitely someone who's better at puzzle games could get farther. But with no additional mechanics added on, even if you were better and you get a lot farther in the puzzles, I just felt like it would get boring. The art design and the soundtrack can only get you so far. I will say that the story takes place in India, so there are some elements of the mysticism that might bear more weight more symbology if you're familiar with Indian culture or religion, religious beliefs. There might be something extra there that I'm missing because I don't have that cultural background. Like I said, the art style is very good looking, very pretty, a good stylization. The soundtrack, very nice, calming. You get different songs for different sections. There's 10 to 12 levels makes up kind of a quote unquote section of the river basin. And as you progress to different sections, that's when you meet different characters, you get different art styles for different sort of villages and the different musical styles. So all of that is very nice. I can't oh, excuse me, that snuck up on me. I can't remember how much I paid for this on mobile. I could go dig through my history and look. I want to say it was maybe $4 or $5 unless I got it on sale. But it's only $7 on Steam. So the mobile tax is not outrageous for what I paid for it on the Play Store at the time. I would say that if you're going to play this, buy it on a sale on your mobile device of choice. Because it's fine for sitting in a doctor's office or, if you ride public transit, it's fine for trips on there. In the beginning, you'll get through levels really quickly and then get to the point where that, 5 minutes will get you through a level, maybe 2. And then as it gets harder and harder, more time to complete a level if you're able to do so at all. I think it's fine for that 2.5, 3 hours of entertainment. So it's fine, like C+, B- type of game. If you're the right sort of gamer or in the right situation or you get it for the right price, it could be enjoyable. But for the most part, there's just not a lot there, in my opinion. So, Mystic Pillars. That's my review.
Meanwhile, let's go to...
Okay, get to it. Get 'em.
So, I think I have a problem with where Management Games has gone. They're so busy asking if they could, they never stop to ask if they should.
I see what you did there.
Jurassic World Evolution 2. So, I've not played the first Jurassic World Evolution. The only real encounter with this franchise is the first movie. And seeing trailers for the other ones and being like, that's neat, I guess. And I don't want to watch it because, I kind of liked where the first one ended.
Are you talking about the first Jurassic Park?
The first Jurassic Park.
Okay.
But I guess Jurassic Park as a franchise is kind of indicative with the world where people with money don't understand the lessons that nature's trying to teach them. So they keep making bigger and dumber mistakes.
Yeah.
Hey, let's take the monsters that we create and make them even more dangerous, right? And sell them to the Chinese or whoever was supposed to be buying them that movie, right?
Now you're packaging it. Now you're selling it. Now you got to sell it. Now you got to put it in the store. Bang! I'm banging my desk. I'm not going to do that. I have to say, a very, very quick ranking of all of the Jurassic movies. Jurassic Park, the original, the first. 2 thumbs up. One of the greatest movies of all time. Love it. Lost World Jurassic Park. Fine. Solid, B to B plus level movie. Good. Not as great as the first. The third one that they made, that I can't even remember what it's called, Jurassic Park 3. Terrible. Unnecessary. Pointless. Spinosaurus was really cool. D-. Spinosaurus pulls it up from an F to D-. Jurassic World? C. Fine movie. Not the most offensive way I could spend an afternoon. Jurassic World, the second. Dumb as hell. Kind of scary, though. So, solid D to D+. And then the newest Jurassic World, I haven't even seen it. I don't care. That's what I think about it. Back to you.
I've seen some reviews of Jurassic World Dominion. And it's just if you could go in and turn your brain off and not ask any questions, it's okay. And and you can look at all the pretty pictures of dinosaurs. Otherwise, don't.
Yep. All right. I apologize for hijacking.
Otherwise, it's an insult to your intelligence.
Yeah. But yeah, I apologize for hijacking your game discussion.
No
talk
problem.
About movies.
So, well, I mean, this is intrinsically linked with Jurassic Park because, right? So, Jurassic World Evolution 2. Like I said, I haven't played the first one. I don't know how much content is here because it is all locked, or I shouldn't say all. A vast majority of the sandbox content is locked behind the campaign. And the campaign is just dreadful. It's slow. It's boring. It's tedious. It makes you listen to goddamn characters that, that maybe if I was into the Jurassic World, because it's not Park anymore, Jurassic World movies, I would, one, know who the fuck they are, and two, maybe give 1/10 of one goddamn shit about. But the fact that there's some smug motherfucker coming onto, the audio and talking about, I'm pretty awesome at doing this, and, I'll go check this out. Just shut the fuck up. They're so busy jerking off the fact that they have the celebrity voice actors from the movies doing their characters in this kind of bridge between Jurassic World and Jurassic World 2, I think, is where this comes in. That they don't even let you really get into any sort of progression. Never mind the fact that the gameplay, it's so busy with you doing tedious work that you never actually get to a management section until you go through the campaign. And like I said, the campaign is... There's a turret section. There's a turret section in a management game. Why? Right?
Yeah.
Never mind the fact that there's a turret section. Every time you go to capture a dinosaur, because the big theme of Jurassic World is now there's dinosaurs out in the wild for whatever reason, you have to manually do it. So why am I having to manually do this? This isn't a game about flying shotgun on a helicopter and shooting Stegosaurus in the ass. First of all, that was last month's Game Club with a few mods, but it's so busy having you go do random things that you tend to forget what you're trying to work on in the first place. Or it also pulls that annoying, okay, well, you did this, now you gotta go set up for it and do things that we didn't tell you about, that if you did them beforehand, it's going to bug out the mission. Because they talked about, okay, well, we need to capture a dinosaur that's nearby that's causing issues. Okay, fine. I only have room for one dinosaur right now. Logic dictates I should build an enclosure, right?
You would think.
Well,
you would be wrong, but you would think.
Building a blank enclosure, because the way the game handles things is that the enclosures have to have a certain... each dinosaur has their own needs that they like, different terrains, or and different dinosaurs also like different food sources. The beginning of the campaign, you only really have the goat dispenser from the first Jurassic Park movie, from the T-Rex cage, and a fish dispenser that I'm sure it's probably in the Jurassic World somewhere. And that's it. Or, they just eat vegetation that, it's naturally grown in the enclosure. And unless you already know what the dinosaur needs, you can't really set it up until after the fact. And, so I've set up a pretty blank enclosure. Captured the dinosaur. Started to fly it back. And they said, okay, well, before the dinosaur wakes up, build an enclosure here. And puts it right where, the area that they wanted me to build an enclosure, right where I already had one. And it couldn't see I built one there because I had already built it. And it put me in a soft lock state. because it wouldn't let me delete something because I was in a tutorial about bending an enclosure when somebody that has more than 2 brain cells to rub together could figure it out, right?
Right. And already had done so.
Mm-hmm. So there's that. And then there's the whole problem with nothing really lines up. And this is something, I don't have OCD, okay? Now, I might have a slight anger problem with Jurassic World Evolution 2, but that's understandable. Thankfully, I did not pay for this game. This was on Game Pass. Otherwise, I would be really pissed off. And I asked you about this when I originally played this, probably about a month ago. And they did not fix this. So there's not a internal grid system like most park management games. Instead, everything kind of is loosely based off of the road system. But I swear nothing ever lines up. So you have a visitor center that's slightly turned, paths that don't do a 90-degree angle. And it's just really, really off-putting. And after a while, it's just I don't have, like I said, I don't think I have OCD, but I felt that itch, this, right?
Right. Well, I mean, there's a difference though in having OCD and being like, "Oh, that looks god awful."
Mm-hmm. And that was kind of the thing. I mean, hell, when I was chatting with you one time, remember I was, grinding to try to get a carnivore because my final thing to try to get some joy out of the game was to release the velociraptors.
Right.
And it took me an hour?
Yeah, it took you a long time.
It took me a long time, and that was me laser focused on not even building an enclosure, just releasing them. Because the system to build dinosaurs in the sandbox, mind you, you are limited to 2 locations. And you do open up more locations as you progress in the story. But all the maps are incredibly small where you have enough room for, maybe 6 or 7 really good sized enclosures because they split all the amenities for the guests because, you can't have a shopping and a food court, in one, thing. Yeah, even though the little mall things that they have are completely customizable and you pick 4. But because they have the arbitrary thing of, well, this is either shopping or food, you can't have, a vending machine in there, right?
Right.
So you have to have 2 of practically everything. In order to get the dinosaurs, you have to send out teams, and there's this fatigue mechanic that makes it incredibly tedious. Either have to, have twice as many crew than you would otherwise need, or you risk them, working behind your back and selling secrets because, right? Which is a interesting mechanic, but it builds up very, very, very quickly. And then there's some genetic manipulation options as well that you could eventually unlock if you essentially dig up enough fossils to get the DNA. Kind of mirroring how the how they screwed up in Jurassic World 1 because of course, right?
Yeah.
They've just gone in such a direction with this particular game, and really modern management games in general, that it's starting to make me wonder if I like management games at all anymore. Right? Having to constantly monitor the emergency generators because the emergency generators are, for whatever reason, the sole source of power for the park or this particular level in the campaign. Never mind the fact that can I hire an intern for that? Shouldn't there be some sort of mechanic class or I shouldn't say even class, but mechanic employee that I could hire that and actually pay well enough so they won't betray me, so that they could go around and refuel the generator every so often? Why do I have to worry about that? Why do I have to worry about sending out a team to go harvest, or not even harvest, to go capture a dinosaur, and then switch to the team and manually shoot them. It's just they're so busy trying to show off their little set pieces and little screenshot catches that they lose the management game. And sorry, I know I went over you on that one.
No, you're good. You are correct. What I was going to say is there's always older games, which I hate that that's like the response because it doesn't really work to solve the problem. But it's like, well, they're making shitty games now. I guess I'll go play an older game that did it better. I agree with you, though. The first Jurassic World Evolution really struggled as a park builder. It was better than what you're describing, but it still struggled. The older Jurassic Park builder, Operation Genesis, is a much better park building game than Evolution. It's not as flashy, it doesn't look as good, but it sticks much more to the key, what I think are the core principles for building a park, which is building a damn park and then managing your guests' sort of happiness by putting in rides and attractions and, cool dinosaur varieties.
I mean, that's the other thing, is that management games are so busy being sandboxes that they don't even have the management systems anymore. Like, I look at, Planet Coaster, and it's more of a sandbox game than it is a management game.
Yeah.
Which I know it's Planet Coaster is more about building roller coasters, and that's more sandboxes. But you understand what I mean. Compare that to like Roller Coaster Tycoon, where yes, there is the sandbox element. However, a lot of it is also trying to figure out ways to keep your guests happy through the management systems.
I'm trying to think of a management game that I've played recently that I enjoyed. It's been a hot minute since I've played
RimWorld.
I guess. I don't think of RimWorld as a management game, but you're right.
It's more of one than a lot of the ones that are tagged management these days.
Yeah.
I mean, let's put it this way. Steam management top sellers, RimWorld's number 1 on here. City Skylines also falls to the same problem where a lot of it becomes just sandbox, which is fine, but that's not exactly what I was looking for on that. I still enjoyed the game. Don't get me wrong on that one, and there is management on the traffic side of things, but at the same time, you're not really running your city, right?
Yeah. What we're saying is that we're old and older games were better.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. I'm flipping through this now. Prison Architect, I would say, is a pretty good one.
Even though
it has its problems, don't get me wrong. It definitely has its problems. But it's a solid management game with actually having to manage and build up a smart prison.
Yeah.
Now I'm just kind of scrolling through because the term management is so X4 kinda, maybe, depending on how you play.
I play X4 like a fucking management game.
There you go then, right?
Yeah. All right. My turn?
Yeah. As old man yells at cloud.
Right. Oh, sorry. I did actually go look, and yes, they got a lot of voice cast. Jeff Goldblum, Bryce Dallas Howard, who plays Claire in Jurassic World, B.D. Wong plays Dr. Wu, Sam Neill and Laura Dern. So that's nice. I like Sam Neill and Laura Dern. So that's neat. Not worth the price of admission, but neat.
I mean, it is on Game Pass, so there is that.
True. So I played a game relatively recently.
Wait, you did?
I did. I played a game relatively recently by the name of Loop Hero. This was given away on the Epic Store during the summer sale that their summer sale a couple of months ago. Loop Hero is an interesting game. It's a partially idle, partially deck building, partially rogue-like, partially RPG. So Loop Hero, the story of Loop Hero is that you're a guy who has basically survived the end of the universe, and you're trying to figure out what's going on. You have no memory. There's only these sort of weird, almost celestial paths that appear in front of you. And this is where the roguelike aspect of it comes in. Every time you go out and try to follow this celestial path, it becomes a loop, and you go around the loop over and over again, killing monsters, gaining XP, collecting loot, etc., to bring back to a base that you somehow are able to build in the cosmic void. And you're building the map. So the loop is fixed. It's random in shape and size. I mean, there's parameters, but it's a randomly shaped loop. But you build all of the stuff that goes on the loop. So this is where your deck comes in, and you get a starter deck, and as you play, you unlock more cards. But you'll have cards that you draw that are, say, forest tiles or mountain tiles or monster lairs or graveyards, and they each do different things. Some of them are passive, some of them are active, some of them are both. So let's talk about the forest and the mountain tiles. Forest and mountain tiles are passive. They both give you bonuses in the passive bonuses in your run, and then they give you resources at the end of your run, win or lose, that you get to take back to your base to build your base. And it does have that roguelike thing of like build a tavern and build a blacksmith and build some farms, and it gives you extra stuff. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But if you've played roguelike games that have this mechanic, you probably already know exactly what I'm going to say. But anyways, so you place down forest tiles, you place down mountain tiles, you get these buffs, health buffs, or mountain tiles. I think forest tiles give you HP regeneration. And those can go anywhere on the map. And if you group enough of them together, then they can combine to do different stuff. So mountains, for example, if you place enough mountain tiles together, they sort of merge into a mountain range, which gives you the cumulative bonus of all the mountain tiles you played before, plus an additional bonus, and it spawns a new enemy. But I'll get to enemies in a moment. So those are the passive tiles. Then there's active tiles, things like the graveyard or the spider den or the vampire house. And what these do is they spawn enemies on the map. There's a certain amount of spawn rate anyways on blank tiles for like level 0 and level 1 enemies like slimes or rats. But placing down a spider lair, for example, is that you have to place the spider lair next to the loop. And every so often, a spider will spawn randomly on one of the tiles that's within its radius. So the spider lair might have a 3-tile radius. So it'll every 30 seconds, let's say, I don't remember the exact number, but every 30 seconds, the spider lair will spawn a spider on one of those 3 tiles, and it's random, and they can stack up to a maximum of 4 spiders per tile if you somehow manage to avoid fighting them on a loop using a special ability, or something weird happens, like an event. But so it spawns them on those tiles, and Vampire Lair will do the same sort of thing. It can spawn enemies, graveyards spawn enemies, and they each spawn different types of enemies. Graveyards spawn skeletons or ghosts. Vampires spawn vampires, obviously, or they're like thralls. A spider lair spawns spiders, but there's a lot of different tiles that can spawn enemies. And so you go and you fight them, and whenever you kill them, you gain experience and you get equipment drops. And all you can do, like all of the fighting and everything, is passive. You get some abilities later that let you use like a healing potion or do like a big burst of damage. But otherwise, all you can do is swap out your gear. And gear has different things that it does: boosts your health, boosts your attack, increases your health regeneration rate. If you're playing a character that has magic, it will boost that, etc. And you can decide, it's not always necessarily beneficial to take a higher level piece of gear. It might have better health stats, for example, But if your other gear has got a much higher rate of health regeneration, it might be better to keep that. Or if it provides some other boost, like a damage reduction or extra gold or XP or whatever. So you go and you do loops, as many loops as you want, building the map with the cards that you draw from your deck. Then there are events that can happen, like I mentioned earlier. Tiles can combine together. You can, if you trigger certain events by doing them sort of randomly, kill X number of monsters or spawn these types of tiles together and get this monster combination, then it, can trigger this event, stuff like that. You go around fighting and doing all of these things, and every time you complete a loop, it pauses the game and asks, do you want to leave? Like, you can leave when you complete a loop, quote unquote, for free. You get 100% of your gear that you collected, your resources, your XP, like you get to keep it all. Or you can keep going. And if you decide to quit out anywhere else on the loop without dying, it's like you run away and you keep, I believe it's 60% of your loot. And then if you die, you only get to keep, I think it's 10% of your loot. And so there's a risk reward mechanic for every loop that you go around. And as you build up your level, you build up your map, you're getting stronger, but at the same time, the enemy spawn rate increases, they get stronger, you start getting more random events triggered. That's where the risk reward comes in. You get back to your base, you spend your resources, wood, stone, metal, gemstone. There's a couple other like sort of weird, fantasy style resources, but you spend them to clear tiles to build structures on, and then to build structures. You can build, an inn, a smithy, you build farms, which increases the population that you can support. Because the idea is like you're rescuing people and you're bringing them back to build this community to try to restart the universe out in the void. So you can do all of these things to upgrade your base, which gives you things. The first few upgrades that you get give you the range of characters. There's a warrior archetype, a rogue, a mage, and a ranger. There might be some other stuff too that I haven't unlocked because I'm not terribly far in the game. I've beaten the first boss, but there are at least 3 boss encounters. So anyways, so you get characters, you get upgrades, you get abilities or powers you can bring in, like I said, a healing potion, or like a burst DPS attack that you can trigger as opposed to just the fighting happening automatically. So that's building your base. And essentially you complete this cycle, and the more loops you get through, the more progress you unlock towards the boss fight. And every once in a while you get some story bits that explains a piece of lore in the world, or when you unlock something or trigger a new combination for the first time, you get some exposition about what's happening in the world. And then the boss fight loop spawns, and then you go do the boss fight loop, and it's got some special stuff on it. The first one, the one that I have beaten, is a lich, and he's got a town that he spawns that is like full of thralls that he has, and you have to defeat him and the vampires and some other stuff that spawns on the map. It's very difficult, and it's essentially you get so many loops that you can go around without having to fight him. And then every time you go around, you can fight him if you trigger the boss fight. But the longer you go, the stronger he gets and the stronger you get. So again, it's the risk reward of like, when do I actually attack? When do I actually fight him? It's good. It's extremely good, what I have played so far. It's hard. After I beat the first boss, which was difficult, it unlocks a lot of stuff for you. Opens up a lot of freedom in building your base and being able to unlock the other character classes, and leveling them up separately takes time, but it is an excellent game overall. There's enough idleness to it that you can do something else while you're playing it, especially if you're just grinding. But if you're going to fight the bosses, or if you're trying to do something specific, like collect a certain amount of a resource, or complete some kind of challenge to unlock a power or whatever, you really need to pay attention to it. weirdly strikes that balance quite well. Um, yeah. So far, I have enjoyed every moment that I've played of it. I've played it maybe 6 hours so far. And I mean, it's, I didn't realize this until just now, actually, looking at the Steam store page. It's a Devolver Digital game. So
You didn't
currently,
realize that beforehand?
no, I didn't realize that beforehand. And it's probably on the splash screen when you open the game, and I just like have somehow like forgotten that. But yeah, currently it's $15 on Steam. It's been on sale pretty cheaply a couple of times. And then, like I said, it was given away on the Epic Game Store. That probably won't happen again, but who knows? You never know. I think it's worth the $15, but even if you don't want to spend that, like if you ever see it on sale,
Looks like Steam, it goes down to just under 5.
yeah, oh yeah, it's easily worth $5. So, yeah, I would encourage anyone who's listening that is interested in this style or type of game, or is curious about trying it, this style of game, get it. Loop Hero is a good example of it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see how often that goes down. But yeah, it looks like pretty well, minus the Epic Store, of course. Everywhere it goes down to $5 or so. So there you go, right? And it looks like it goes down pretty off. Hang on, is it actually $5 right now? Yeah, it's $5 off, or it's $5 right now on the Humble Store.
Nice. If you're interested, go pick it up from the Humble Store.
Not
Worth
sure how
it.
long that sale's going to be active, but there you go. Right, it is. Just look at the history. If it goes off sale someplace, it goes back on sale someplace else pretty damn quickly. It looks like a kid has just gotten a thing of crayons and just scribbled all over the graph.
Yeah.
It's actually rarely fully priced.
Well, all right. There you go. Okay. Let's move on and do the news. I will let you introduce this while I take a drink from my beverage.
So EA has updated their their mod policy to disallow the ability for modders to pay to sell their mods for The Sims 4, essentially.
Yeah. So it feels weird to read that because you think by reading the news headline that EA is saying, "Oh no, we don't want paid mods. We want free mods." But a further reading of the news article in question essentially makes it seem like there have been some mod developers who have been flying a little too close to the sun in terms of legally or illegal action, either copyright infringement or putting mods
Behind paywalls.
mods behind permanent paywalls, virus tracker, malware in the mods, harassment, leaks of personal files.
I remember on The Sims 3, there was a couple communities that were essentially behind an entire paywall. So, right?
Yeah. Oh, I just did a Control F to search for cryptocurrency. Mm-hmm. None in this news article. Let me try Bitcoin. Is there Bitcoin in there?
Well, no NFT. Woo!
Woo! No Bitcoin. I didn't think to look for this earlier when we were talking about it, but I mean, that's something that has happened a lot in the last few years. Programs, games having little bits of code in there that mine Bitcoin on your machine. I was half expecting that.
Wait, Sims 4 modders in this case, but Sims modders make an incredible amount of money if they are run good and have a popular mod. This further down in the article, it kind of highlights some of the patrons. So there's one person that has 4,433 patrons, each contributing at least $5 a month.
Damn.
Another one that has just under 650, at least $6 a month. Another one that's just shy of 4,300 patrons at $2 a month, at least. I mean, it's just there's a lot of money here,
Yeah,
and
which is cool. I mean,
yeah,
to be clear, I think that if modders are able to make money via donations or Patreon support or something, like by all means, more power to them. Support creators if you're able to. The BattleTech Advanced mod, I am on the Bloody Doves Patreon. He's the guy who's sort of in charge of the mod. Like, been using that mod for years, giving him some money. Like, he deserves it. But what I'm against is companies like EA and Bethesda and etc. making money off of people's mods.
yeah, and that's also the other thing is that, yeah, well, you mentioned the big one, Bethesda. Essentially scrubbing the creators completely out of the mod and making them a third unknown party as well. At least that's what I recall from the Skyrim content creation marketplace, was that there was no, or at least in the initial offering of it. I'm not sure if they ever updated that, because first of all, it's Skyrim, so I didn't want to touch it anyway. But where there was no mention of just who made the mod. It's just, this was made by somebody, no idea who, but right.
Yeah.
All right. Here, buy some of our bullshit currency so you can buy this, right?
Yeah.
But this is trying to keep people from infringing on the copyright, because one of the things on the new guidelines is custom content creators are no longer allowed to promote mods in a way that suggests that they're endorsed or affiliated with The Sims, Maxis, or Electronic Arts. As such, creators are prohibited from using any game logos or trademarks, including versions of the Plum Blob or key art designs, to promote their creations. So there's a lot of icons that are going to have to be changed for this.
Yeah.
I haven't been on the modding sites for a long time, but I remember there was a lot of Plum Bobs, right?
Yeah. And make no mistake, they will pursue legal action against all of these people.
Yeah, because this is EA we're talking about.
Yep.
And it feels, like I said, it feels weird somewhat being on their side, saying that there should be no paywalls for the mods. Now, to be fair, they have said that they're fine with people generating revenue through ad revenue on websites and Patreon. And also that they have an indefinite paywall that they're okay with. They didn't give a absolute number of days, but they said that mods eventually have to become free for all to use. So I wonder what triggered all this. Who stepped too far, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing, is that this does not happen in a vacuum. Someone somewhere overstepped their bounds.
Yeah. Or several someones somewhere overstepped their bounds. But yeah, I don't.
But there's a tweet here. If several mod creators didn't abuse doing permanent paywall, putting virus trackers, malwares, and mods, and creative content, harassment, leaks, and personal info, if they didn't do that, this wouldn't have happened. And pretty much bingo, right?
Yeah. Yep. I mean, very obviously, like, they're skirting, or they're avoiding legal disaster, saying like, oh no, we can't do this, people can't do this, you can't do this. And then if someone does it and they wind up getting sued, it'll be no, we put in our terms of service, they're not allowed to do this. And they can shield themselves from legal consequences.
I wonder if they're also going after some of the mod downloaders and stuff, because that could be construed as endorsed by EA. Because right,
yeah, possibly.
I mean, this is a minefield. There is a minor win for, I guess, freeloaders would be that term. People that don't want to buy into all the mods, because right,
yeah,
it gets expensive, especially with some of my mod loadouts.
Yeah.
Um,
Also, to be clear, I'm not condemning anyone if they don't pay for mods.
yeah, I mean
Just
that's
I
the other
encourage
thing, right?
supporting creators if you can.
Hmm. But at the same time, ooh, this could get really ugly, huh?
Yeah,
And
I expect it to.
it looks like it was the permanent paywalls that really did it. Uh, because like I said, I know there was at least a few communities of mod creators that would just hide behind paywalls, and some of them were the more adult oriented that I've seen, but there was also just general content packs that people would build up that would be $10 a month, or we're gonna you're not gonna get updates anymore, right?
Yeah,
And considering this was Sims 3 and there was what, like 12 expansions, and like half the time it would break mods anyway, let alone patches that right.
yeah.
Oh, I do wonder what this is going to do with the communities. I mean, I don't think the people that are supported by Patreon are really going to have much of a hiccup, especially if they're mostly in line with these uh yeah with these policies anyway. Put out an advanced version on Patreon that eventually gets released, right?
Yeah.
Uh, the article also goes into some people on Reddit are finding loopholes at the EA's terms. Creators have stated that they're severing any connection to the Sims 4 franchise because 3D models are getting are kind of skirting things whenever they're building like clothes. Because where's the line drawn, right?
Yeah.
Because often those are just texture files and they're put over EA's 3D models. Well, if they're being paid on Patreon for these custom clothes, or building up these fictitious brands, where does EA draw the line on being affiliated with Electronic Arts because they're using the official models and just doing texture work, right?
Yeah.
And it's getting a little dangerous. It'll be interesting to see just how this kind of shakes out. This policy change was on the 21st of July, so a little under 2 weeks ago, but it's really starting to make the rounds now. Is that right?
Yeah.
So another shakeup in things.
Indeed. So our next news topic, Google Play Store ads blocked to stop intrusive pop-ups.
So this is the full screen ads that pop up in 90% of mobile games.
Like 99% of mobile games.
Oh, I was including the paid mobile games as well. So this is a policy that's going into play September 30th, blocking unexpected full screen interstitial ads that pop up when users have chosen to do something else will no longer be allowed. So from the sounds of it, the in between level ad, right?
Yeah, that's what I think that is. The in-between levels ads, or whenever you press the back button to go, back to the
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, your castle, like the game's home screen or main menu or whatever. You'll stop getting those full screen ads that can last sometimes, 30 or 40 seconds.
Well, on top of that, users must be able to quit out of a full screen interstitial ad within 15 seconds unless they specifically opted into them for in-game reward, for example. Getting one bare ass whenever they need 10,000 to buy something, right?
Yep.
Or it doesn't interrupt the normal use of the app. So if they're loading something major behind the scenes, maybe, right?
Yeah.
Google gave an example of acceptable non-skippable ad as being one that appears after a score screen following a gameplay session. So, that's going to be still there, huh? So it's going to be like the in between, loading screen or going back to main menu, that sort of thing, I guess. And
Yeah.
also, if the app targets children, users must be able to skip advertising the interferences of normal apps within 5 seconds. So play kids games, right?
Yeah. I hope that this is halfway effective. I'm skeptical.
Mhm.
Companies and whatever, they'll find their ways around this, or somebody might take them to court. But I see ads decently, a decent amount of time scrolling through Twitter. If I'm watching YouTube videos on my phone where I don't have ad blocker, whatever. See an ad, it's like, oh, that actually looks like a halfway interesting mobile game to play while I'm on the toilet at work. So I download it and I go to play it, and it's, I spend more time watching and skipping ads than I do playing the game. And so I get mad and I uninstall it. Because fuck you. That's why. But I get so annoyed. And there's so many, you see so many copycat games that are the exact same game. So, I mean, sometimes literally the exact same game with a different name, just to cram more ads in there. And I don't know who's playing these games. Like, I can't imagine that they make enough money off of the initial download, and a person watches maybe 2 or 3 ads before they say, fuck this, I've had enough. This game.
Kids.
I guess my kid doesn't play games on a phone anymore. He's got a DS.
I've watched my niece sit there and play a Among Us knockoff, a 3D Among Us knockoff, and sit there and watch a 30-second ad in between levels. And the game is only a couple minutes long, so all right.
Yeah. I could probably put up with 1 30-second ad every 5 minutes. I could probably put up with that.
This definitely wasn't 5 minutes.
Yeah. But I think I could put up with that because, just of when it is that I'm playing these games. Because it's on the toilet or waiting for 5 minutes on something at work or at the doctor's office, like what, stuff like that.
Yeah, but the thing is that we're old, right?
We are old. You got that right.
So
I remember when games were games.
I remember when patches were free.
Yeah.
Right?
Me too.
But yeah, I mean, pretty much anytime I asked the question, who is doing this, the answer is usually like children. Right?
Yeah. You're not wrong.
Because that's the world that they know, and this isn't, calling them out one way or the other. This is what they know as gaming,
Yeah.
If I put my niece in front of, Super Mario, the original, she wouldn't know what to think of it, let alone, the cartridge, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta upload Mario to play him.
Oh.
But we're used to our perspective of things. We've seen, or at least in my lifetime, I've missed out on the, Atari era, barely. So I've gone from NES to modern day gaming, which is, and when you think about it, just an insane leap in pretty much every sense of the world of the word. But we've also seen monetization change so much over that time, going from microtransactions to from DLC to microtransactions to battle passes to loot boxes, back to microtransactions to and there's been so many different models that's gone through that to us it's just absurd because remember back when you bought the game and that was it. You might get an expansion, right? Or maybe if you're really lucky, too.
Yeah. And I mean, I recognize that. I know you're not wrong. I guess I just didn't think about kids playing those games.
Mm-hmm.
Air quotes, games. Because even my kid, right? Obviously, my kid only knows the world that he's been presented. And I guess this is me. Yay, I'm responsible. like my kid doesn't play or is not interested in these types of games. He gets mad like if he sees a mobile game and he tries to play it, he gets mad when there's ads. It's like I don't want to see ads. I'm like, that's right, kid, you get mad at it. Play
Yeah,
a real game.
I'll toy around on a mobile game every so often, but most of the time I read on my phone because I find a lot of mobile games either be very shallow or they spend so much time interrupting me that I lose interest in them.
Yeah.
I have games loaded, but uh, one of the ones I actually like to play, well, there's Falling Light Blocks, which is a free version of Tetris that is essentially fan made with no ads. There's Downwell, which is actually from Humble Bundle, which is a Devolver Digital game. Hey, Devolver Digital again, right?
Yay.
The third version of Mobile Motorsport Manager, which I've pretty much beaten. I mean, I'm at like, in-game stuff, and it's, just ground up to finish it off. And occasionally go on a walk with Pokemon Go to get shinies for my Pokemon stuff. All right?
Yep.
I mean, that's really it. And I blame Anita mostly for Pokemon Go because, right?
Yeah.
I play different games every so often, but I keep kind of dropping them because, it either gets tedious or there's just so much ad to be able to do anything, right? So anything that kind of shakes things up, I view as most likely a good thing. However, I do have that kind of pause of what are they going to replace it with, right?
Yep, I'm with you on that. What are they going to replace it with? What are they going to do different? How are they going to make it worse?
And the other thing is, like we said, this will prevent ads from appearing during unexpected times. So in between levels is not unexpected according to Google, which is right. Although be able to get out of an ad in under 15 seconds, right?
That helps.
Mm-hmm. Because some of these ads are just obscenely long, and they show up over and over and over again. Maybe I should do another deep dive on mobile gaming at some point.
I've thought about it. I haven't yet, but I've thought about it.
Maybe that's something we could do for Game Club sometime.
That would be interesting. What are we gonna do? Play the same mobile games or play different mobile games?
Find maybe 2 mobile games and do a double header.
Okay.
Or it's something that we could talk about during a choosing sometime. Or maybe even a cheap paid game, so we get out around the paid issue. Which honestly, paid games are most of the time cheap, unless you're Square Enix, of course.
Yeah, usually $5 or less for paid mobile games.
Yeah. So before we move on to the next topic, I do need to step away for just a moment as we get in the elevator for Community Corner.
All right.
So I'll be right back.
I'll be right here.
Okay, I'm back.
Welcome back.
I needed water. I was completely out, and throat was starting to go. Ugh.
It's all good.
So, Community Corner?
Yes, diving back into Community Corner. Our first Community Corner article that was submitted is Diablo Immortal player spends $100,000 on game, now can't find anyone suitable to matchmake with. Dumbass. Oh my god.
Oh.
I can't imagine the kind of person. That's a lie. I know plenty of people who have addiction issues for other things, so I can't imagine the kind of person who spends $100,000 on Diablo Immortal. But also, it is kind of funny. Like at least if
it's hilarious. But
at least if you spend that money on
gross.
booze or drugs, you get something for your money. He might as well have just lit a fat sack of cash on fire.
Now they claim around 100,000. This is content creator Jay Tisall Business, right?
Yeah.
In the video, the streamer even admitted that they're considering calling in lawyers to help with their rather unique situation. I can't do things that I spent money on this character to do. and I have no time frame of when things are going to actually be fixed, or even know if things are going to be fixed, because I'm the only player in the entire world with this problem. Yeah, because it's not just he spent so much money on or sorry, on his character. He also is a PvP whale. So he went into the PvP battlegrounds, or whatever they call it in this game, and racked up their matchmaking so high because they've spent so much money, because their dick is so incredibly microscopic,
Ooh,
allegedly.
getting in there on the dick size. Going hard after this guy.
Wink.
Wink.
But they're compensating so much by spending obscene amounts of money on their character and going into the PvP and smashing, because they have literally the most powerful character that money can buy, right?
Yeah. I can't picture what it's like to go so hard on becoming a PvP whale, on buying power, that everyone else is like, nah.
And then whining about it.
And then whining about it, yeah.
Because that's kind of the flip side of this, is that, okay, fine, you've racked up so much on your matchmaking, and you're so high up on whatever in-game metrics is going on, that the game can't find anybody else. But they putting out a stream about it, right?
Is this guy a boomer? This has got like big boomer energy, where it's like you shot yourself in the foot and then you bitch about it and blame, I don't know, the Mexicans or something.
Well, let's just put it this way: you image search him, and he looks kind of douchey.
Why am I not surprised that he looks douchey?
Just do a search on his username and then hit images.
Okay. Content creator J, it's all business.
Oh, sorry, JT.
J, tis all business. Oh yeah, he does look douchey. He looks kind of like this guy that lived on my hall in college, Austin. Granted, Austin was a nice guy. He looked like a douche, but he was a nice guy. I get the impression that this guy's not a nice guy based on what it is that he has done to himself and is now bitching about.
And threatening legal action, because I'm sure that in those terms of service that you just click through whenever, right?
Yeah, that you didn't read.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, I have to say I don't read the terms of service.
Yeah, I mean, no. There was a study at some point that if somebody was to read all the terms of service that they agree to, it would be weeks, if not months, of just reading legalese.
Yep. I don't speak legalese, so I'm not getting anything out of that.
So let's see. There's a nice infograph that I can't zoom in on, so it's all little dots of text. I'm just trying to find, and of course their link is broken because right. But yeah, it's just you're looking at weeks worth of terms of service to go through just on popular apps, let alone, all right.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it's in there somewhere that Blizzard could do whatever the fuck they want whenever they want, right? But it's more the fact that this guy went so hard, right?
They own your children and your children's children and their friends, and
At the time, he stated that the vast majority of players were not spending any money on the game. This was Blizzard boss Mike Yana. The philosophy was always to lead with great gameplay. Really? Blizzard? Great gameplay?
Especially modern Blizzard.
And make sure that hundreds of millions of players could go through the whole campaign without any cost. From that standpoint, I feel really good about about it as an introduction to Diablo. Oh, Diablo 4 is going to be rough, isn't it? All right.
Yeah. Rough feels like an understatement, but yes.
I do wonder, what metric is triggering the matchmaking to just break for him? Is it the fact that he, went into battlegrounds and probably won 100 matches in a row?
Yeah, Who knows? Maybe.
Because I know I read another article on this guy. Uh, I'm just linking to the one that was in Community Corner that it specifically said he was going PvP, and considering they're talking about matchmaking record, all right,
Yeah,
and that's really the only thing they matchmake on Diablo, isn't it? Is PvP, right?
I think so, but I'm not sure. There might be some matchmaking PvE stuff, but I haven't played Diablo since Diablo 3 was new, which has
Yeah,
been
I never
what?
even played Diablo 3.
I mean, that's been what, a decade ago now?
Mhm.
So, yep.
I mean, this does do one thing. This puts this guy's oh yeah, it's PvP. Diablo. I'm on Video Game Chronicle. Diablo Immortal player says he's lost access to PvP games after spending 100,000 on microtransactions. And according to this, he spent between 2 and 3 days trying to queue for the Battlegrounds PvP without success. I'm trying to find. Uh, Damn, he has a record of between 300 and 450 victories with 3 losses.
Dang.
There's your problem. And also, it tells you just how imbalanced the game can be with a single whale, right?
Yeah. Extremely. But
Uh, okay, this might be old man talking here, but when you get to the point where you're able to go a couple hundred matches without a loss because of microtransactions, where's the fun in that? Outside of, I know, influencer, YouTube, Twitch, whatever platform this guy's on, doing content and, probably screaming at the camera.
yeah.
I just failed to see the enjoyment in it.
I think that for most people, it wouldn't be enjoying. There is a certain subset of folks that want to win. Like they're not satisfied unless they win, and it doesn't matter how they win or how much they win. It's just the winning. But that's not most people. That is a few people, because most people want to be challenged. And like every once in a while, if you get, sort of a freebie, like a blowout, you're like, yeah, that makes me feel good. But if that's every single time, most people, it's the One Punch Man effect of like, if there's no challenge in it.
There's been so many memes with this guy, by the way.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's also the fact that if there's a blowout, it's on a balanced matchmaking, it's earned,
Yeah.
Outplaying or having some sort of luck effect go on. And a blowout isn't, 300 wins and 3 losses, right?
Yeah.
That's called a landslide.
Yep. Boring. At least it would be for me.
So speaking of boring things, how about Call of Furry?
Yeah. Call of Duty Warzone. Plagiarism accusations surfaced around new dog operator design.
So, when did the furries take part in World War II?
Well, you see, they were right there alongside the gays, very secretly doing things.
I mean, this just, and no, I'm not touching the plagiarism just yet. The fact that it's a dog in Call of Duty feels, I'm not talking about, canine dog. I mean, humanoid dog feels very, very weird. This might once again be, maybe I'm old, right?
Yeah, I'm old.
And this is probably up there for the maybe I'm old award, right?
Yeah.
At least for me. All right, I'm going to add that right now. So remember it.
Right.
Oh, but it just feels really odd. But so this artist on Twitter highlights certain elements like the type and the color of the elbow pads. I mean, I'm not sure,
Yeah.
because there's elements there, yes, but also sometimes it feels like reaching, like the way the pants are wrinkled, right? So I'm going to read this verbatim. Hello, I'm Salen. I'm the original artist of the upcoming Vanguard Semioid skin that was plagiarized from. I only just found out at the time of the announcement that my work has been plagiarized, even though I'm also a COD player. I'm very disappointed to see my works being plagiarized by a big company like Activision in this way. I've reached out to Activision for explanation and or compensation, and hopefully the situation will be settled soon. As an individual artist, I can only do so much, and I have to speak out about this to stop things like this happening in the future. And I'm just sitting here, I'm looking at individual elements, and maybe it's the overall picture that's more telling, you know? The fact that this person's art has this particular collar this particular handkerchief folded in a certain way, even though it's a different pattern on the Call of Duty skin. The side pouch, the way that the ants are folded, but also, there's also the chance that it's happenstance as well, right?
Yes. Did I get back at just the right time?
I guess so.
I posted.
I didn't see it until just now.
I DM'd you. My dogs lost their fucking minds. I don't know what they were barking at. There were no ghosts or invaders.
Greebles.
Indeed. Continue.
But I was talking about how the individual elements, and maybe it's just the fact that it's a whole, or it could just be happenstance, where the fact that they have, a handkerchief for, around their neck, that particular type of pouch on their hip, but also if you're going for, the style of Call of Duty, there's only so many ways that you could go, right?
Yeah, because Call of Duty flaunts itself as looking realistic. And I mean, certainly aspects of it do, but if you're going into that...
It's a man dog, right?
Right. But I mean, as long as you're, staying in that realm, like, it's really hard, like, you're limited. Their dog looks awful. I will say, it looks weird.
Which one?
The
original artist, it's a lot more chunky as well.
Yeah.
Let's stick with like 4 or 5 C's.
Let me pull this pull this up here. The picture the first picture that's in the article, that says loyal Samoyed skin from Call of Duty Warzone and Vanguard. Image credit rate. Like, that looks awful.
Oh, it's also Call of Duty.
Yeah.
I was looking at the tweet down below, doing the comparison, and look at individual items, and that's where it's like, maybe there's influence here, but it also can be happenstance just because you're looking at pants legs that's folded a certain way, right?
Yeah.
That style of side pouch, the elbow guard, right?
Yeah. I do think that the original looks better by, what's his name? Her name? I'm not sure. Salen. Mm-hmm. I think that one looks way better. It's got a little bit of stylization to it. Some smoother lines. It doesn't look like it's trying to be, purely perfectly realistic, well, air quotes, perfectly realistic. It looks fine. It's not my favorite thing.
Activision has contacted them, but they haven't said anything more.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I really don't know about this, because, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because, I don't.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, it feels weird. It feels like a weird thing to be in a Call of Duty game. Even Call of Duty Vanguard feels weird. But, I believe wholeheartedly that companies plagiarize stuff from individuals all the time. Not just video game companies in general. Steal ideas, steal art assets and concepts. Just whole cloth lift them, and most of the time they never get caught because either no one realizes it or pays enough attention, or it's just not worth it to try to fight the corporations as a an individual. But I think in the games industry and maybe in film, although I don't see this happening in the film industry, but it gets caught a lot more because of just the nature of the community and what it is that they're thieving, art. So I don't know. I don't really know if I have like much more of a point there. It's just I think this shit gets caught a lot more in the gaming community, I guess.
Probably because the artists that create them are also fans of that. Yeah. So, right.
Yeah.
This isn't some random bloke making a Call of Duty thing and not playing the game, right?
Yeah.
So whenever they make a major announcement, they're going to see it, and that might be it as well. Is that you have the artist involved in the community that the company is stealing from, which is weird.
Yeah.
While if you're looking at like movie ideas and having a writer somewhere reading a short story that somebody published, and it's like, that's a really neat idea. I could elaborate on this and build upon it. Which then you start getting into the fuzzy area of where does plagiarism begin and an inspiration start, right?
Yeah.
Or where does plagiarism end and an inspiration start for building a bigger, different idea, right? But this, I mean, if it's not just happenstance and they both went in the same style and it was close enough that, they're right, then that is right.
Yeah.
That's a plagiarism. But it's also hard to tell.
It is, and I think that, I mean, they don't exercise it, but I think that big companies have a much greater responsibility to that than small individuals, to watch that line much more closely, Like I don't even know if it counts as plagiarism if it's just somebody like doing it for fun. They copy an art design for fun, or they create a small mod for their own game for fun. Like, I don't even think that counts as plagiarism. But companies doing it definitely does because they're profiting off of someone else's work. Which, that's capitalism for you. Fucking capitalism, man. Anyways. Speaking of capitalism,
Yeah.
it's not just loot boxes. Predatory monetization is everywhere.
Yeah, and this is really kind of a overview, as far as I can tell, of just where really gaming is focusing on. But I think they highlighted BMW charging for heated seats.
For the heated seats, the subscription for the heated seats. Yep. That is to me, that's some scary shit. Like, that's a very fragrantly dystopian like thing to see.
Yeah, this is going into where it's the artificial currencies, the confusing pricing. It just all the places that gaming makes things muddled that we've kind of talked about for the last several years.
Yeah.
And one thing that they bring up is Mario Kart Tour, a game heavily influenced by gacha mechanics. In the game, you receive rubies for completing races, which lets you fire off the pipe, a loot box system, to get more cards. But the coins are the game's actual in-game currency, and they're used to buy cards. On top of that, you gain or lose points based on your position in the race, which lets you unlock stars, which let you enter cups and start the cycle all over again. The game also recommends a standard monthly battle pass payment, an in-game currency that always reminds me that a bit of The Simpsons, where Homer purchases $1,100 of itchy and scratchy money. It's like real money, but fun, says the cashier, but only to find out that no shops accept it. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and really just how obfuscated everything is. I mean, I'm not sure just how much we could talk about this, because there's one thing, a lot to break down, but also a lot of stuff that we've gone over ad nauseum, right?
For years, yeah. And, we've talked about this before. All of this stuff, yes, but the thing where it's like we're enthusiasts, we're one step away from being in the industry ourselves, and we pay attention to a lot of this. Whereas your average quote unquote person who doesn't see it all the time doesn't realize or doesn't think about it, just the world you know. I think this article is more for that sort of person,
Mhm.
like for people like us to show to people in our lives, like, hey, here's this thing. I he you know how that game, other than like the BMW heated seat thing, or was it BMW or
Well,
was it
yeah,
Mercedes?
I think it was BMW.
Okay.
Actually, I might have misread that and just kind of inserted BMW into this, but yeah, it's not just gaming that does it, right?
Yeah, well, I remember a couple of years ago because I watched Red Letter Media, and on one of their sort of more serious movie shows that they have on their YouTube channel, they were talking about one. I forget which director it was. There was a director who was like, movies are changing. They're changing from being like, film, even like junk cinema is changing to be more predatory on, again, like on people's time, and how some theaters are starting to offer like movie theater packages that cost like lots of money where you can go and get like special seats or whatever. And they're like, oh, this is bullshit. Like, I know these things. Like, remember when you could just go watch a movie? And I'm like, oh my god, it's happening to games, or like it's happening, in another industry. And that's the only time I've ever heard it mentioned. So I don't know if that trend was killed because it was like right before COVID. So it might be that like the massive issue that theaters had.
But nature said no.
Yeah, Mother Nature was like, nah, dog, fuck off.
Well, I mean, you could kind of throw the Marvel Cinematic Universe into that as well, where they announced, was it 50, 60 hours of content?
Yeah.
That's all interconnected, and if you don't watch it all, you have no idea what the fuck, most likely.
Yeah, it was, I think, this week's Jimquisition. It might have been last week's, where that they said that the fourth phase of Marvel had more hours worth of content to watch than the previous three phases combined. And they were like, how in the hell is any normal person supposed to keep up with this? And I mean,
I mean,
on that,
I don't at all, so I can't answer that for even normal person.
I've
Uh,
stopped. I've stopped. I just don't have the time. I mean,
I mean,
I
I
could keep up with
just,
it if I dropped like most other things in my life, and like that was my thing.
I just look at that announcement and see. Well, that's even less incentive to dive into that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even getting back on topic slightly. Uh, I mean, you look at the DLC model as well. I mean, we saw just in the last Game Pass or the Game Club where, in order to actually enjoy the Hunter, it's not just the base game, but there's several DLCs that, if they're not required, they're pretty darn recommended, and that's just game features that,
Yeah.
in the past, right?
Yeah. In the past would have just been in the game or maybe part of a free patch.
Mm-hmm. Which I realize we're part of the problem because we both, well, I bought it as a humble bundle and you bought it outright. So we're part of the problem, right?
Yeah.
I mean, technically, I bought Horse Armor because I got Game of the Year edition of Oblivion. So, all right.
I I bought actual horse armor when I was I was a teenager when that came out.
Get
And
off my lawn.
I was like, yeah, buy some horse armor. Like I was a dumbass kid. I'd never do
Yeah.
that now,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Looking back at it, it's like, why did I get that, right?
yeah, live and learn, and then get loves.
Uh, yeah, I'm just kind of leafing through the article to see if there's anything that really jumps out at me that that we haven't really talked about ad nauseum. Like I said, a lot of this is kind of just what we've talked about before. Bring up Candy Crush advertising, the inventory space limits in Fallout 76. If you don't buy their, ram it up the ass first,
Yeah,
right? Cost obfuscation, DLCs. The fact that Unity's new CEO is talking about developers that do not make games with monetization are quote unquote fucking idiots. All right.
Yeah.
Cooking podcast.
Yes.
That's like plan B or C if things get too dystopian for us, right?
Yep. We're just gonna give up to this, and we're gonna go cook stuff and talk about it. Gonna be great. But yeah, that's that. Years of bullshit all laid out on display. Hey Rage, how can people give us more dystopian bullshit to rage against?
Why am I against the dystopian bullshit, huh? Why are you putting me against it solely?
I said that we can rage against. You're just telling the people how to tell us.
Well, you can do so by dropping it in the Discord or emailing us vglpodcast@gmail.com or tweeting us vglpodcast on the Twitter. And you can find a link to the Discord over at our website, vglpodcast.podbean.com.
Indeed. And I'm going to say, hey, Rage, why don't you hit him with your socials?
Because I figure you're tired and my throat feels like you've had a very, very rough night with me.
Oh, you know it.
Well, you can find me occasionally tweeting over at Gaming with CR, or you could be my friend over on Steam, Caffeine Rage there. You've been?
I have been Jared. You can find me on Twitter at JMA4707, where I shitpost. And you can find me occasionally being in tabletop streams about vampires over at twitch.tv/runicarts. The one that I'm most often in is the Wednesday night game, but he's got all of his stuff on YouTube and stuff as well. But just go to twitch.tv/runicarts, and you'll if you really want to hear every tabletop thing I've ever played in, you can find it there.
Yeah, and also do not ask Jared about the footlong. He might give you the 6-inch though.
Please ask me about the footlong. I'll gladly give you my 6-inch. Not even a wink. Not even a wink. Deadpan into the camera. I'll give you my 6-inch. All right.
And as people run away.
Right. Take us home, Rage.
Once again, you can contact us vglpodcast@gmail.com with your letters, voicemails, game-related topics. Tweet them to us, vglpodcast, or drop by the Discord, or drop them over there in the submission channel thing, which you can find a link to that over at vglpodcast.podbean.com. And if you wish to spread the love, as Jim dropped something immediately that we just covered, so Jim, you're late.
Or we were early.
No, he's late because we record at the same time every week, so when it's not cursed.
Touche.
You find a link to that over at vglpodcast.podbean.com and drop something in like Jim just did that we've already covered. Our lovely patrons have made this possible. You can find out more at patreon.com/vglpodcast. Our intro and outro music is On the Ground by Kim McLeod. You can find his work over at Computech.com. And
as always, as his lovely music starts to roll across my voice. Bye-bye now.
Stop playing with your 6-inch.
How did you
Bye-bye.
know? Bye-bye.